All right, I believe we're live. Guys, it's been a while. It certainly has been a while since we've done a live video, but I got to tell you, the stuff I'm about to tell you about Section 8 and housing and what's planned for 2025 is probably going to upset a lot of you. And, well, let's just say the shit has hit the fan for sure. So I'm going to go down a list here so we can get straight to the facts. And it's important to keep in mind the information that has been released and what is planned and what actually happens may very much be two different stories. Okay. But if there's any American president that has ever taken office that I tend to believe when he says something, he's going to do something, it would definitely be Mr. Trump. Okay. So, according to the plan in play for 2025, and another thing I want to mention before I get into this plan is I don't have any political affiliation. I'm not even so much as voted for a lunch lady. So I don't care either way whether or not Mr. Trump is the president or not. Okay. No different than Sleepy Joe or whether or not it had been another person or another woman or whatsoever. Okay. So this is just the information based on their own agenda. And there's no other fire and spice to it. So, according to the Project 2025, proposes to radically restructure and dilute or altogether dismantle and privatize multiple federal agencies. And the primary one would be the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So, they want to dissolve the entire HUD system and place it under the Housing of Finance. Okay. But that's not the bigger part of the deal. And the policies will remove the rights and protections of immigrants, women, elderly, the vulnerable, the homeless, the marginalized, and veterans and seniors. And it does it by virtue of the plan itself. Now, it's important to keep in mind here is you'll understand why that's suggested here in a minute. So they want to basically get rid of all vouchers. No more Section 8. We're going to give tax credits strictly to the big builders, and the builders can build whatever they want if you can't afford to live there under tax credit circumstances, which is the income tax programs that run for low-income housing. If they decide not to build it, then you simply have nothing. Okay. Under that, there would be no project-based housing. So again, we're going to lose all vouchers. They're going to end housing first policy, so the homeless will no longer have any vouchers. They're not going to be able to apply for anything. You'll simply live at the bus station, live in the forest. They don't care. Okay, that's the end. Racial disparities. So they talk about the racial issues and rules and policies. All of that will be removed. Okay, so there'll be no defensible position for anybody that feels that they've been discriminated. That'll all be removed, including HUD OIG. And then they will repeal the Affirmatively Fair Housing Act rule. So again, no rules for discrimination. All special credit programs will be removed. Section 8 vouchers will be removed. All COC program vouchers removed. Also, those of you that have a mixed household, meaning that you may have one or more persons in the household that are illegal in the country or legal. So let's say I am an American and I marry somebody that's not legally in the country or legally, there'll be no more split use. In other words, all houses that use a voucher that have some people living in that home that are not documented or documented, you'll be stripped of your voucher and kicked out. Okay. Now here's the sticky part. For those remaining with a voucher, as it stands now, so retroactive, you'll be required in now having a time limit. So you'll be given a certain amount of time and then you'll be kicked out. During that certain limited time that you have the voucher before you're considered for being kicked out, you'll also be forced back to work, regardless of age. So if you're 99, you'll need to go ahead and put on your work slippers, get to work, and then you'll be asserted to be kicked out just a few years later. After that, it's not their problem. Again, they will not issue housing first programs, so the homeless will no longer be housed whatsoever. So we're going to move this from 1 million homeless to 3 million and triple it overnight. We're only going to incentivize tax credits to properties that want to incentivize their wallet. And those that decide to incentivize their wallet, they may ask or request whatever rents they want. So it will be only for the wealthy, poor income. So if you have a really big Social Security check around 3,000, you'll likely be able to move one of these fabulous properties in Miami Beach. They would call suspiciously a low income property. So why do I state this in a very glaring way? Because this is the project 2025 specifically for HUD. They want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of the agency, the rules, all of it. Apparently, the project doesn't like the favorable idea of dealing with people, anybody other than white. And if you are white and poor, they don't want to deal with you either. So don't ask me why. I don't understand this. Now, will all this, can you possibly do all this? Well, this will draw a major battle, okay? And again, I want to say that this is not Mr. Trump's plan, okay? This is a suggested plan that they want Mr. Trump to consider, okay? So this isn't Trump's agenda. This is what they're planning. This is what they want him to do. Now, I don't care what anybody thinks about Mr. Trump. I don't think that he's going to carry out all this stuff. There's no way. It would create some dire consequences throughout the U.S. It would force even people that in Trump's family, extended family, as well as many politicians that don't have a lot of money into the streets. It would create an epic problem across the U.S. It would triple homelessness. It would make this so convoluted, and it would line the pockets of people that certainly don't deserve any more money. This is what we face in 2025. Now, just because Mr. Trump takes office in February, and again, this is not his agenda, this is what's being suggested, but I can tell you, things are fixing to become at a critical level. They will implement some of this. If they do dissolve HUD, it's game and match. And that also means that will be the end of my office, okay? And this channel, because I find no value in trying to assist with housing when there's nothing left. So the dissolution of this will also be the dissolution of this channel, as well as my company and most other Section 8 consultants or HUD consultants that are out there that'll put an end to a very long career. Now, let me say this, because I don't want everybody to go walk away with doom and gloom. I don't think all this can be carried out. And even if it were to some part carried out, likely under the next following election, much of this would have been undone. This is way too much to do in 4 years. So there will be a massive effect. There will be serious consequences. And it looks like the main push here would be to put term limits on housing and vouchers, as well as work requirements like they do with food stamps. That we should have all known this was coming. And I believe this was attempted before and an absolute failure. You cannot make people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s go back to work. Though many can, many cannot. And so we're looking at what would be the potentials here. You know, what's going to happen? What will they manage to get done? What will be considered and what will be rejected? That's what we deal with for 2025 through the next 4 years. So we have a lot facing you. Those of you that are considering housing and vouchers, you better do something right now. There's no more thinking about it. There's no more putting another wooden nickel in the piggy bank to figure out whether or not you need help. You better get with somebody. If you don't know how to get housing or a voucher, you better get with somebody right. I'm serious. You better do it, because by the time most of you get off your ass and you decide you want to do something, it'll be too late. Those of you who have a voucher or manage to get it before all this is implemented, then you'll likely be grandfathered in, at least for a long term, and may even be able to carry it before they can unroll most of the stuff following another election. But those of you that don't have before this goes into effect, if it does, you're going to be in serious trouble. Now, I'm not suggesting any of you need to work with my company or book appointments at my office, but if you're going to do something, you better damn well do it right now. There's no more thinking about this. This is going to be a big problem. And let me tell you, when Mr. Trump decides he's going to do things, he does it at lightning pace. We've all seen that. Now, again, I want to tell you that it doesn't mean that all these things are going to happen, but some of it will. And we're all looking at that, just wondering. We're really not going to know. You know, this is not the way that he does things. You only find out you might only find out when he posts it on Twitter or X, you know. So that's what we face this year, and I'm going to be monitoring closely the communications and HUD reports and other things to see whether or not we can get an idea. I can tell you that the person they're intending on installing into HUD right now, this guy knows nothing about federal programs. You'd have been better off hiring a prostitute to work in HUD than you would to have this gentleman in there, a former football player, baseball player. I don't understand why we're hiring people out of the toilet to go and run HUD, what's left of it. And to dissolve that agency would be a massive undertaking and would likely ensue a very serious battle in both Congress and the Senate. So there are going to be some pretty epic battles placed here. The consequences and the fallout will fall out to those that need housing or in housing. And so we have some serious challenges for this year and the next couple of years. And we shall see, right? Well, let me say some highs and hellos. Hey, guys, you know what? A lot of you guys right now are under a weather storm. Weather alerts for snow and ice and sleet throughout the U.S. is coming to visit us in South Texas tomorrow and the next day. If you have appointments with our office, look, we don't do well when ice hits our light poles and electric poles, okay? That means that we can lose power. Last time this happened a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, and the ice took down and actually blacked out nearly 3/4 of the state of Texas. Or we can't support ice and sleet, not hours of it, you know. So if that happens, just be keenly aware that I, my employees, my cats, and everybody will be running on a generator. We're not going to be working on appointments and making phone calls, okay? And the last appointments our office are going to be taking is probably for Wednesday, and then hopefully I don't spend a week trying to survive through 20-degree temperatures in my own home. The last time I went to sleep in a closet with a heater, you'd find a small confined space to keep heated up so you don't die in the cold air. So for those of you up north, you experience much worse weather, and my heart goes out to you guys as you go through that. But you guys are also much better prepared. Y'all can handle that sub-zero stuff. We Southerners, you throw an ice cube in our yard, we start getting freezer burn very quickly. All right, so disabled outcasts always invoke the ADA early and often. Well, that won't help you here. Being disabled doesn't mean jack for 2025 plan. Terry Griffin, good morning. And wow, yes, you're right. Wow, this is why I waited. This is why I did not post it on the purse. Wikipedia, I'm almost shocked. No, you're beyond shocked. We're all shocked. Look, when they announced the dissolution to dissolve HUD, let me guarantee you one thing: you've been fucked. All of you. Even if you got a voucher, you're fucked. The only way around this stuff, is if they can undo it, and whether or not it even happens altogether. Queen, exactly. I appreciate you agreeing. Lou Brown, when is this supposed to start? Effectively, all this will begin the day that Mr. Donald Trump takes office. Now, of course, he doesn't work at lightning pace all the time, but when he takes office, he has a choice to make. These are the options that have been put before him through the 2025 plan. Now, whether or not he chooses to go forward with it is his choice. We will not know until days into his being elected. If he chooses to dissolve and to remove programs and all that, so we shall see. Angela Patterson, thank you for the update. Was wondering if this would lead to a placing of disabled seniors. Well, I guess their goal is to take the seniors like herd them and like cattle and throw them in projects, but they banned that as well. So you'll have to pool your money all together, and then your wheelchair will be rolled into the shed in the backyard, because there aren't any other types of housing that will be available for seniors. So you'll be moved into the storage shed, I guess, with a space heater, and you sleep sitting up. That's the plan that they're planning on right now. We'll be setting appointment with you. Things. Look, guys, I'm not trying to scare y'all into booking appointments, okay? But I want y'all to understand it's better for you to understand it from the worst way. That way, if it turns out that only half of this happens, it won't be so bad, okay? I'm not here to just put on a shock and awe campaign. But let's be honest, I've been doing this 25 years, over 15 on YouTube. I've rarely been wrong about many of the things that I've said. And I'm not sharing opinions. I'm sharing my professional opinion. It means I understand this market very well, considering that I deal with thousands of people every day. most of you have watched me grow old and get gray hair making these videos. And these videos are intended as educational, but they're also to give you a certain level or gravity of truth to the situation. Many would prefer to coddle you and hold your hand and have you believe there'll be a soft and easier way to this, but there's not. This is the reality we face. If there's a way to get around it, if there's a way to possibly do this with the least amount of harm, that would be ultimately the goal of my office. All right, so moving on from there, E says, we'll be setting an appointment with you. Monette Jenkins just hopped in. What's going on with HUD now? Well, HUD's going to be dissolved. Christina B, thank you for all your updates. Well, Christina, I'm glad to share. Richard Gallo, we all need an advocate with our federal deficit. Yep, probably so. Queen, it's always something. Praying for everyone. Well, of course, that's American. That's the way we do in America. It's always some bullshit, you know. Monette Jenkins, oh my God. Monette Jenkins again, thank you for your knowledge. And Shell Butters, well, I didn't mean it that way. Shell Buttor, SOS. My advice, if I were in many of your shoes, whether you have a voucher or don't, one, you need to make sure that you know the latest factual updates and these. And I would also, for all of you, key in Project 2025. And specifically, you want to look at some of the subsections they have in there, okay? For those of you that are in the race to get housing, you need to get a contact an office that deals with a Section 8 consultant or a HUD consultant and work with them as quickly as you can to get a voucher in housing if you can. Because I don't think they can actually make this retroactive going in the past and then kick people out, but we'll see. But the main thing is, whatever you're going to do, you need to do it now. There's no more thinking about it. It'll only get much worse as the summer comes. So we know around February, Mr. Trump takes office, and then after that, the rules will start being laid down. After that, it's almost too late. So that's the major effect for 2025 is that there likely will be one, they'll dissolve HUD. Two, they're going to remove all vouchers. Three, there'll only be project-based housing or tax credit properties. And four, they're going to remove all types of protections that relate to the homeless, veterans, seniors, and anybody that has any ethnic background as a Black American, Hispanic American, Asian American, and so on. You'll simply have no protections, or you'll have no defensible position in preference to a white person as they've laid it out. Okay. So we need to look at what can be done, and we also need to see how much of the 2025 plan has already being approved, and when will that take effect? And that needs probably hundreds of hours of me reading through policies and procedures again and their project plans to see what loopholes we can jump through and push our clients through before things take a permanent effect. So there's a lot to be considered here. And I think another thing is we do not know how much or how little of this plan and Project 2025 will be implemented. We don't know at what stages and timeline, but we do know what's being considered. The reason I'm bringing what's considered right now is because if you're willing to consider it, it means they're willing to do it. Whether it happens or not, it doesn't matter. The mere fact they brought this stuff up under that plan simply means it could be a possibility. So we're not speaking in things that are so far off that are, where we're just speculating. These are things that are already considered and put on the table in a plan. And if it gets approval, then that's it. I'm no longer talking. I'm no longer speculating. I'm no longer being spicy in a video. That is reality. And so we wait for reality, and we all get that dose of reality in February. And then we'll watch whether or not people fall out with a seizure when they learn what's going to happen, if they even have housing or voucher after that. And then we'll learn about the timeline. Okay, well, we're going to destroy the whole plan. We're going to remove and dissolve HUD, and then we're going to do year by year. This is how many millions of people we're going to kick out on the street. We'll learn it just that way as it comes, starting in February. Any updates I can get through HUD reports and other contacts we have through federal agencies, I'll publish that. But we can't fight something that's still just a plan. This is what I call a career ender, at least for my office, because there's nothing left to solve. It's not a career ender just yet, but we need to see where all of this puts us with both HUD's agencies, with housing vouchers, with COC vouchers, homeless vouchers, veteran. I haven't even been able to figure out what's going to happen with veterans. I suppose that'll be dissolved as well. And I don't mean the Veterans Association or the VA. I mean vouchers related directly to veterans. So there's still a lot of questions and answers that have not been answered. All right, moving on from there. Mythic Wolf Productions. I'm in Section 8 and I just joined. Lon, do you need to be worried about me losing my home? Well, I can tell you that in part of all the vouchers and different programs they plan on dissolving and ending, I can tell you the HUD homeownership is going to be one of them on the shit list. In other words, those of you participating in HUD homeownership or any form where you're being funded by the United States government to own a home, that will be dissolved. That is the plan, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. Okay, so it's in discussion. It can very well happen. So if you're already have a home and you're participating in HUD homeownership program, you're participating in family self-sufficiency, all that very well could be ended and dissolved right after February, which means good luck and goodbye. We don't know just yet because they have not issued that mandate. David Gatewood, thank you so much for all your information. Ed, it says fiction. Well, you know what, Ed? My career lasted 25 years, and it's not a fiction. I would say that your one singular word and comment is the biggest fiction of all. Okay? And you don't even have a picture on your comment. So I don't even know if you're a little girl in third grade trying to make a comment. So I would say that the most sufficient fiction is just you. You don't exist. You're unimportant, and nobody really gives a damn about your opinion. Goodbye, Ed. All right, moving on from there. Let me help Ed up. That way he no longer can even make a comment in the channel. And you're gone. Now that's what we call fiction. He's been fictionally removed. All right, Mythical Productions. I'm scared for my children. I don't want you to be scared. I want you to consider the possibilities. And then we can consider in February how this could potentially be changed and how we can get around it, okay? Mr. This might be our new realities. It could be. That's why we're bringing this to the table, to make it an open debate, okay? So we can see whether or not if there's an intent to carry this out. My only concern with intent and plans are people generally don't make plans and not carry them out. And if anybody we've ever dealt with as far as presidents are concerned, I've not known Mr. Trump to carry out much of what he said. In other words, if he says something, he generally carries it out. Okay, but these are recommended plans to him by other agencies, other groups that would like very much for him to carry Plan 2025 out. Love all 131. Can we, if we can't pay property taxes, we will lose our homes. This isn't fair either. Well, nothing's ever fair in the political arena. Angie Alexander, get dad to pay paying child support instead of taxpayers. You put that in such an interesting way. I don't know if I agree with that or not. Hello, I'm 62 and I just got my voucher. Section 8, been waiting since 2015. Well, your timing is impeccable. I certainly hope you keep that. Okay, so I'm sorry. Did you say something again? I didn't see that in the channel. Look, it just vanished again. All right, so I'm going to start wrapping this up, guys. I've enjoyed talking with you. And our next video will be in a day or two. And in that video, we're going to discuss some of the more later updates coming. And we're going to continue to monitor the situation from now all the way into February and see what's going to be carried out, what new rules and policies are going to be considered and put on the table, and whether or not they're going to continue considering plans to dissolve HUD, to remove vouchers, to remove homeless programs, and also to consolidate the whole program under the HUD under the finance agency, and whether or not the whole housing system will switch over to tax credit program. That's what we're looking at, and that's what we'll be facing. And I look forward again to keeping this as an open debate to see. So for those of you out there in this chilly and cold weather, I hope you fare well. We'll certainly get our dose down here down south. And also for those of you interested in using utilizing your Section 8 voucher and you live in California, we're going to have a later video today, and I'm going to get in a little bit of detail for a landlord. He's got a beautiful Section 8 property in a gated community. It's a good price, too, and very nice property. He's wanting to get it out to you guys. So if you live in the California area and you're looking for Section 8 properties, we do post a lot of videos from current landlords that are with us, with our company, and they're a great opportunity to catch them early before they hit the mainstream market. So we'll be talking about a Section 8 property for rent, or it's a condo in the California area. So if you're interested, join us later this afternoon. Annie Alexander, my children's father is another country, can't be held liable to pay his child support. Okay. I see. Well, I appreciate you clarifying that, Bella. I don't really deal in child support. So, David Gatewood, this is about housing. Let's focus on housing. I appreciate that, David. However, you're not going to dictate what I talk about in my channel, okay? You can dictate what you want to your children in your back lawn, but it doesn't work that way in my channel. Good morning, Jackie. Good morning. Happy New Year. Hope you're enjoying the nice breezy weather. All right, guys. Well, I'm wrapping up from here, and we will see you again in 24 hours. Bye for now.